Our notes for today are titled, How is the National Government Set Up? We're going to be talking about the different branches of the government in today's notes. And we're going to be splitting this kind of into two parts. The first part will be the longer of the two, where we examine the three branches of government and what they entail. Before we get into that, though, let's talk about how the Constitution is broken up. The Constitution itself is often considered to be split into three different parts. The preamble is the opening paragraph. This sets the goals and the purpose for the new government. So some of those goals that we've discussed in class: to form a more perfect union, to establish justice, to promote the general welfare. These are all things that the framers of the Constitution wanted the government to be able to do. Next, in the main body of the Constitution, are the Articles. And this establishes the structure of the national government, including the three branches that we're going to discuss. And then the third part are the amendments. And the amendments are the changes to the Constitution in the 200 plus years that it's been around. A couple important principles that are built into the Constitution that we have also discussed in class. Separation of power. The Constitution splits power up on the national level into three equal branches. And then, in order to make sure that it stays that way, the framers wrote in a system of checks and balances, meaning that the Constitution gives all three branches a way to check or to block the other two. And this makes sure that one branch can't dominate. So the president can't take over because the other two branches can block the president. Now we're going to move into the three branches themselves. So let's start with the legislative branch. The legislative branch is made up of Congress. The main job of Congress is to make laws. And we know from our study that Congress consists of two different houses: the House of Representatives on the one side and the Senate on the other. First, we're going to talk about the House of Representatives. It's the bigger of the two, with 435 members. Those 435 members serve terms of 2 years and then have to be reelected. In order to run for the House, you have to be at least 25 years old, and you have to have been a United States citizen for at least 7 years. If you remember when we talked about representation, we said this is where the big states get more say. Big states like California and New York and Florida with large populations get more representatives. The Senate is a different story. There are 100 senators because every state gets 2. The senators serve a 6-year term. And because the Senate is supposed to be a little bit more elite, the requirements are a little bit higher. You have to be at least 30 years old, and you have to have been a United States citizen for at least 9 years. The next branch is the executive branch. That's led by the president, and his main job is to enforce the laws that Congress passes. He is to execute the laws. Presidents serve 4-year terms. They can be reelected, but only once. You have to be at least 35 years old, and you must be a native-born American citizen. The third branch is the judicial branch. That consists of the Supreme Court and the lower federal courts. And the main job of the judicial branch is to interpret the laws. Important to know that judges, federal judges, are appointed for life. And they cannot be fired. And their salary cannot be lowered just because they issue an unpopular ruling. That's there to protect them, to make sure that they can be independent in their decision making and not have to worry about losing their job or getting paid less just because they make people unhappy. The last thing we're going to talk about are checks and balances, ways that the branches can block each other. So Congress can overturn the president's veto. Congress can impeach and remove the president from office. And Congress can check the judicial branch by approving or blocking judicial nominees. What about the president? Well, the president can veto or block bills passed by Congress, and the president can pick Supreme Court justices. And the Supreme Court has some checks as well. It can overturn laws that were passed by Congress, and it can overturn actions of the president. All of these are ways that the three branches can block the other two branches from becoming too powerful.